Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Segue Says podcast. This one is something special because it relies on a lyric commonality only. And basically, the element of surprise is crucial to this. Now, unfortunately, because you can see the title of the songs in the title right below this here video, the element of surprise will kind of be lost on you viewers. But the hope is, for those of you who like these songs and play these songs, you'll take this and surprise your audience. Now, there are two songs. The first we haven't heard before in this podcast, and it's a song by Peter Gabriel, who you may know is one of my all-time favorites. It's a song called San Jacinto. It's one of his slightly lesser-known tracks. And then the second one is a song we have heard before, and it's Hold the Line by Toto. Yeah, we're doing another Toto song. In fact, we've actually done Hold the Line before, paired with Misunderstanding. Although for that one, I brought it down to the same key as Misunderstanding, which is D minor. And for this one, we're leaving it its original key of F minor. Or F sharp minor, excuse me. Which again, if you saw last week's episode, you heard my Tales of Vocal Woe. It's a little high in the range, but it's the only way this one works. Bear with me. I'm doing this purely as a demonstration, not as a performance. So, how are we going to do this? Because these two songs have next to nothing in common, except for one little thing. Well, two little things, but one that's more significant, as I'm sure you'll see. Now, San Jacinto is on Peter Gabriel's fourth album, and it's a complicated story. It's sort of a combination of two stories, but to sum it up briefly, it was based on a conversation he had with a man who was a hotel porter when his band was touring, and the porter turned out to be a full-blooded Apache brave, and he told Peter the story of his initiation, which is where the village elder would walk him up to the top of the nearby San Jacinto mountain, through all the white towns and suburbs and fancy settlements with all their caricatures of the native people and everything, until you finally got to the deserted top of the mountain, and then the elder would let this rattlesnake out of this little bag that he'd been carrying it up in, and the rattlesnake would bite the young man who was being tested to see if he would be a brave. And because of the stakes of this test, which I personally think are a little skewed against the person taking it, either you find your way down, while high on rattlesnake toxins, in which case congratulations, you're a brave. And I might be oversimplifying this. This is just, this is third hand. This is what the guy told Peter and what Peter told the audience, and I'm now telling you. And then, if you don't make it down, you're dead. So I guess you're not a brave, unfortunately. It's not something I personally would ever be able to do. I don't know about you guys, but I would rather not be bitten by a rattlesnake. I'd personally forego whatever honorific I would earn from it, but that's just me. It's not my culture. It's not my place to say. So, but this is part of that story. It's sort of a retelling of this man's story, blending the imagery of native land disappearing for white expansionism and settlements. So the people's struggle mixed with the personal struggle, and it's an epic song, and it doesn't really have a literally epic in the sense of an epic tale, not in the overused way everyone says epic. But it doesn't really have a common form. So rather than do a verse chorus, which is the kind of thing I usually do, I'm just going to give you little snippets of it as we get through it, because it'll help you understand. It actually starts. It's interesting to do a solo version because to really capture the parts, I'm doing the 7/8 pattern in my right hand, but the song is in 4/4. So the left hand, which is covering the bass, is just a standard 4/4, so it doesn't always match up. You can take the Peter Gabriel out of the prog rock Genesis, but you can't take the prog rock Genesis out of the Peter Gabriel, as I believe that age-old phrase goes. Thick clouds, steam rising, hissing stone on the sweat lodge fire. It starts very sparse and quiet. It's the morning of the test. The young man wakes up and finds the elder, the medicine man, and they watch the sun rise in the cold morning, preparing, and then comes the journey up. If I could just remember the words. The medicine man leads me up through town. The Indian land is so far down. It's getting a little more tense, walking through all the townships and then up the mountain, and it continues to build until it finally gets to the point where the trial is ready to begin. Way above us the desert snow, white wind blows. I'll hold the line, the line of strength that pulls me through the fear. Jacinto, I'll hold the line. Jacinto, the poison bite of darkness, take my sight. I'll hold the line, and the tears roll down my swollen cheek. So this is the moment. This is where it all happens, and the man realizes that it's now or never. It's very, very literally do or die. And so this is the most, like, the peak of the song, this emotionally intense moment. And then at the very end, all of a sudden it goes from F minor to F sharp minor and kind of loses, like, all the other sounds drop out. It's just these strange, like, air through metal pipe type sounds that are synthesized. And that's literally what it was. Peter Gabriel sampled a lot of, like I've seen video footage while making this album. They went to a junkyard and recorded a bunch of sound samples that in like breaking glass or wind through a pipe, and then they put it into a keyboard. It's called, the documentary was on something called the South Bank Show. If you can find it, watch it. It's amazing. So, but there's this intense pattern is still going. I'm still in F minor and or A flat major, G sharp major, I guess we'd call it. And then very suddenly, all that fades. Just these low sounds without any real tempo. And this is when the young man's mind is being clouded over with the poison. And also in the story, with the parallel images, it's as the natives watch their land being basically bulldozed and taken over. But within both the people and the person is the will to survive. We will walk on the land. We will drink from the stream. We will breathe of the air. We will live. Hold the line. Hold the line. Hold the line. Hold the line. As you can see, it's a very artful and very intense, meaningful piece on so many levels. Beautiful, beautiful song. Now, those of you who've seen this podcast before or just are musically inclined probably see where this is going already based on what I've already said. But let's pretend we don't know for a moment and just focus on our second song, Hold the Line. which is was the biggest hit, one of the hits off the first album by the group Toto, which is just called Toto. And as you know, they are the most frequently appearing artist in this podcast, because for some reason their songs just lend themselves to this kind of thing, and also because the members of the band know me personally as Segue, and that story I told in the Rosanna River of Dreams episode, and I won't bother retelling it all the way here. You can go check out that episode. But suffice to say, you know, their songs do kind of get priority in addition to the fact that they work really well. But this is a fun one. So, Hold the Line was their first big hit. It was written by piano player David Page, sung by Bobby Kimball, and I do not have the vocal range of Bobby Kimball. So you're just going to have to deal with me. Again, this is demonstration, not performance. With the 6/8. Let me tell you something, your right hand gets a little tired when you're doing this the entire song. It's not in the way that you hold me. It's not in the way you say you care. It's not in the way that you came back to me. It's not in the way that your love set me free. That's the wrong words. In the way you look, all the things that you say that you do. Hold the line. Love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold the line. Love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so I kind of mashed up the words of the first two verses, but you know it. You know how it goes. My apologies to the members of Toto, who I saw again last weekend in Derry, New Hampshire, and were as fantastic as always. I love those guys. So this one's for you guys. Sorry I messed up the words. Anyway, so as you can hear, these songs have nothing in common except that one lyrical line. Hold the line. And it means two totally different things in the different contexts. You know, it's hold the line, you know, love isn't always on time, I mean, it sort of means the same thing, but in a very different context. You know, hold up for, you know, what you believe in, for the right time for things to work. Keep fighting for the love, the relationship, what you want. Whereas hold the line in San Jacinto, you know, takes on a much, greater, much more dire action, of holding on for dear life. But it's the same words, and that's the key here. Speaking of key, San Jacinto ends in F sharp minor, and Hold the Line is in F sharp minor. Pretty sure this one kind of explains itself, but just in case, during the outro of San Jacinto, hold the line, I like to give a sort of like a meaningful look with the last hold the line. And just fade in. As the low part of San Jacinto fades out, the high part of Hold the Line fades in. And because everybody knows this song already, you can take a little bit of a liberty and just to really drive the point home of the lyrics being what connects the two of them. Sometimes I'll just go straight to the chorus of Hold the Line before going to the first verse, so that the last thing I say in San Jacinto is Hold the Line, and the first thing I say in Hold the Line is Hold the Line. Hold the line. Love isn't always on time. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, again, from the get-go, you guys out there watching, yes, I'm talking to you directly, knew what was happening. Because, the title's down below and I introduced this and I'm going about it in a very technical way. But, again, I consider myself just a vehicle and I realize, I sound kind of full of myself doing this, but I have had people occasionally comment on the video say, hey, this is cool, can I use this? And I was like, please, Steal everything you can find on this channel. Because, well, except my original songs. Don't steal those. The segues. Steal the segues. I got to be more careful how I say this. But, so the idea is for, you guys, if you happen to know these songs, because it throws people off completely. Like, I played this for my mother and for my girlfriend. In other news, yes, I actually have a girlfriend now. That's another thing that's happened since this podcast has been away. And neither, like, both of them, like, because I knew it was coming, I thought it was going to be so obvious because I was saying, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line, hold the line at the end of San Jacinto. But that's part of the song. But I told them it was a segue, so I kind of assumed like they must know where I'm going. But then when I faded this in, there was a moment before the realization kicked in of, hold the line, I get it. And as I've mentioned many times before on this podcast, the moment of realization is one of the best moments as a performer when you're doing a cover song or a segue, is the moment when the audience gets it. And, and they look at you like, yeah, I see what you did. And you look at them like, yeah, that's what I did. And because it creates a connection, a moment of camaraderie that I just, as a performer, I absolutely love. And as an audience member, I absolutely love. I've had the great fortune to be on both ends of that experience. And I love it. It's one of my favorite moments in music and art, is when you find that connection. And I feel like this is something that's particularly conducive because it's a little sneaky. It's a bit of a stretch, playing on the words a bit, but people will get it. And when they get it, and they let you know they get it, and that's just, it's so much fun. So yeah, this one's, like I said, a bit sneaky and a bit tenuous because the songs have nothing to do with each other except those three words, but it works. And that's the most important thing about a segue. Does it work? This is not one of those cases where no one's going to notice that you change songs until you start singing the next one. You have some of those. But this is not one of them. But the point is, does it do something for the audience as well as for you? And I think the answer is yes, because in my experience it has. So hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you've learned something. And if you want to, surprise other people, rather than show them this video, you can show them the Segue sampler video that's going to accompany this, which has just the musical excerpts and none of the explanation. And if you don't show them the title, they won't know where it's going. So you've got that going for you. So check that out if you want. That should be up as well on this channel, on the Segue sampler playlist. Thanks as always for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope I'll see you soon.